Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic 90s nerds, to my channel, Slime and Slashers, where, yeah, we talk about everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers, but plenty of stuff in between. However, today we are talking about one of the two things I mentioned, slashers! So I'm very pumped because I'm doing a whole Readathon and Watchathon for the month of June where I will be reading and watching a whole bunch of slasher themed things. And I can't wait! It's going to be a bloody good time. So without further ado, let's go to this short intro, and when we come back, we will discuss what books I'll be reading, and I also will tell you which movies I'll be watching. Welcome back, guys! Are you ready to talk about slashers? I know I am. I'm very excited. I really like slashers, whether it's in book or movie form. I feel like it's such a great subgenre of horror because it's just a mindless, fun, good time for the most part. You do run across a slasher movie or book here and there, sometimes that has a little bit more to offer and has some thought there, but you know, it depends. I'm okay with the mindless slashers, and I'm also okay with the more sophisticated slashers, which has something to say. So we will see what kind of books I have picked out and what kind of slashers I'll be reading in June. So I'm going to go through it all with you guys. And don't forget to use the hashtag if you're participating in this event on social media and you want to shout out what you've been watching or reading. Use the hashtag on Instagram, hashtag slime summer slashers. And that's slashers with an S at the end, so plural. Slime summer slashers. That is our official hashtag, so we could share what we're reading and watching on Instagram, either in your stories or your posts. Please use it so I can keep track of what everyone's posting. And I'm really eager to see everything. And I'm so excited, and I hope some of you want to join in and read and watch stuff along with me. The first two books I'm going to tell you about are books for my channel book club. If you guys are new here, you may not have heard, I run a channel book club. It is open to everyone and anyone who wants to join. We are called the Midnight Book Society, and I really love the name. I'm so glad everyone picked out that name. Of course, that is an ode to Are You Afraid of the Dark? But it is book themed, so I think it fits perfectly. So anyway, we've got two books we usually read per month. You guys can choose to read one, the other, both, or neither, depending on how you're feeling that month. So do whatever you want to do. But if you want to join along, we do have a group Discord that is up right now, and I will be creating a whole slasher area for everyone to talk about not only these book club picks, but whatever slasher books or movies people are watching and reading. Okay, so the first book we're definitely reading together for the book club, if you want to join in, is Night Shoot by David Sodergren. I really had a good time when I read David Sodergren's other book, The Forgotten Island. I thought it was marvelous, very much like reading an 80s movie, if that makes sense, and I think this is going to be very similar. Now, I'm not going to go through a lot of the plots with you guys because I have this whole long video up that I did about a week ago recommending a ton of slasher books, some that I had read and some that I have not read, and so if you want a lot of these descriptions, then go and check out that video because there's a lot of details in that video, and it's long, but there's a lot of good info, and it's very thorough, if I do say so myself, because I put a lot of time and work into it. Also included in that video, and I will also include it in the description of this video, I have a Google document which links a whole bunch of slasher book suggestions. It includes the Goodreads links for each book, as well as what year each book was published originally, and a lot of other information, like some of the books are available on Kindle Unlimited, and I have those books highlighted in a certain color on the document. So check out the document if you're looking for more ideas, but also check out my video for any details you might want to know, because I've got a whole bunch of stuff in that video. So I had to put out a second poll, actually, to decide June's second book club read, because the three other books, besides Night Shoot, in that first poll, were really all very close together. It was neck and neck. So I put out a second poll with just 3 books to try to determine the second read. However, that poll is also neck and neck and is extremely close. In fact, as of recording right now, there's actually a tie for the winner. We've got Cirque Berserk by Jessica Guess and Bonesaw by Patrick Lacey with the same exact amount of votes. However, I'm going to make an executive decision and I will explain why. So our second book club pick will be Bonesaw by Patrick Lacey. Look at this incredible cover. Very, very filmy. Somatic, that's the actual word. Filmy, that's not even real. Cinematic, it's ridiculous. I can't even speak now because that was so absurd. Filmy. Anyway, I went to film school, and I can speak English, despite you guys maybe questioning that at this point. Yes. Anyway, I'm very pumped about this book. I think it's going to be a blast and a bloody good time. The essential plot, just quickly for this one, it's a meta slasher, so we've got lots of references to slasher movie tropes, etc., etc. I'm just assuming, I have not read it yet, but I can imagine that's what it's going to be like. Our main character, Liam, he loves movies, and his favorite horror movie director is in town directing a horror movie, but strange things start to happen in town. So what is going on? Why are things taking place in real life, and not just, like, in the cinematic world? Cinematic. I can use the word. Okay, so officially, yes, these two books are our official book club reads for the month of June. If you want to join in, you are welcome to. And if you don't, and you just want to hear my thoughts at the end of the month, then wait for my monthly wrap-up, which will come in either end of June or beginning of July. Also, don't forget, if you do participate in the book club reads and end up reading these books along with me, or one or the other, we're going to have a live stream discussion of each book. So, live stream discussion of this one, live stream discussion of that one, either at the end of June or the beginning of July. So stay tuned for that, and join me live so we can all discuss the book like an actual club would do. That's why we are a club. Alright, so just to explain really quick, I'm not going to read this, and the reason is, I've got a good reason. So although this was tied for a potential book club pick, I decided to choose Bonesaw instead because I actually saw that Amy Noel Reads, a YouTube channel that I discovered kind of recently. I really like her style. She's actually nominating this for one of her reads for her book club in July. And as of right now, it's got 50% of the vote up on her community tab. So if you want to vote for this and read it with a club, I would suggest let's go and give Amy Noel Reads some love. Let's give her book club, which is called the Dark Hearts Book Club, some love. Let's go vote on that poll, make sure Cirque Berserk wins, and if it does win, I will read this along with her book club. So I figured, what a good way to support another channel. I'll just read it along with that club. And if it somehow doesn't win, I will read this for my February readathon where I read carnival and clown books. So I will read that next February if it somehow doesn't win for Amy Noel Reads' book club. But let's hope it wins. So guys, if you want to participate in that, go check out her channel, go to her community tab, and cast your vote. And before we move on, I do want to say, the reason I was really looking forward to reading this is because my friend Katrina Brown, check out her channel, Marvelous Channel, she mentioned this as one of her favorite slashers, so I hear it is really good. So again, don't be too disappointed, guys. I think we could read this as a part of, you know, that book club, the Dark Hearts book club, and that could be a lot of fun. But if not, no fear. As I said, just to reiterate one more time, I will probably read this in February. I have a big carnival-themed readathon, so maybe this could be a book club pick for then if it doesn't win for Amy Noel Reads' book club. Next up on my TBR, and my TBR is massive, by the way. It's so massive that I picked a few definite reads, and then I had some spots I wanted to leave open for other possible reads, but I couldn't make a decision because I had over 13 books I would love to read that were a possibility, so I used a name picker wheel, but we'll get there. One of my definite reads that I really wanted to get to, and I actually nominated this as a possibility for book club, however, it didn't win. I don't think it lost because people don't want to read it. I think it lost because a lot of people have already read it. So, having said that, that is why I am making this a priority read for me for June. I feel like I need to get to this. This is Brother by Anaya Alborn, and she seems like a fantastic author. I have not read anything by her yet, but I've heard great things about her novella Palmetto, and I've also heard great things specifically about this book in general, and it just seems really intense and like it's going to be very entertaining and also probably hard-hitting. I've heard, like, this is kind of extreme, but like not too extreme, not like real extreme horror. But I just heard that this is kind of heavy, but I'm looking forward to it. I definitely think it's time for me to check off an Anaya Allborn read and read one of her books. And actually, this is one of my 22 books to read in 2022. So by completing this for June, I will check off a book that I want to get to for the year. So I'm very happy about that, and I cannot wait to dig in. Another book that is a priority that I have been slacking on, come on you slacker, Kelsi, jeez, it's Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar, and I've heard it's a wonderful slasher. Now, some people have said that this is appropriate for Halloween time. However, why not read it in June? I'm doing a whole slasher theme. It fits right in, and it's a book that almost everyone else has read, but I have not. And so I feel like it's time to rectify that. I do not want to wait till September or October for fall. I want to get it done now. And this actually is also one of my books on my 22 books for 2022 list that I would love to read this year. And so I'm going to get it done sooner rather than later. So although you may have heard it's appropriate for later in the year, I'm going to read it now because it's time for summer and it's time for some slashing, and this will deliver with what I'm looking for. So yes. Essentially, I hear that there's some characters that you love to hate in here, and that you dislike them so much that you're almost glad to see them get slashed. And I love slasher stories like that, whether it's a book or movie. I'm fine with having unlikable characters and almost characters that you really hate, and that's okay with me because that almost makes the slashing a little bit better sometimes. But also, I do like the other kind of slashing where it's emotional and you don't want the person to get slashed or murdered or caught by the bad guy type of deal. But yeah, it's fun sometimes to have one where you're like, get 'em. So this is one of those, at least from what I've heard. So far, we have gone through 4 definite reads that I am going to get to no matter what in June, and the 5th definite read is Paradise Club by Tim Meyer. Last year, during summertime, for my summer camp mini readathon that I did, it was a personal readathon. It wasn't like an official booktube one, but I just read a whole bunch of summer camp themed books. A lot of them were slashers. I read a Tim Meyer book called Kill Hill Carnage. It was not a slasher in my opinion because there was like a monster type of element, and there was some human killing. However, it was more about like creatures and stuff, and also the setting. So to me, that's more of just a bloody read that's appropriate for summertime. And also if you're going for camp books and you love summer camp themed stuff in your horror, definitely check that out. The point is, I really enjoyed that Tim Meyer book, and so I'm excited to get to my second Tim Meyer book, Paradise Club, which I've heard is really good and surprising, some people have said. Next up is a quick, easy, short little novella that I'm very pumped about. It's 20th Anniversary Screening by Jeff Strand. This is another meta-seeming slasher where I think it's going to be very referential to other slasher tropes, like tropes from slasher movies and stuff of that nature. So I cannot wait to get to this because I loved the first book I read by Jeff Strand. That was called Clowns vs. Spiders, and it was so funny. It's one of my favorite reads of 2022 so far because I read it in February of this year. So, will Jeff Strand be a one-hit wonder for me, or will I love a lot of his work? We'll see with this short story. And actually, by the way, guys, this just won a Bram Stoker Award, so even more reason to pick it up, and that's why I placed it on my TBR. Okay, so those 6 books, or 5 books and a novella, I feel like I can definitely get to no matter what. But I wasn't just going to plan on 6 books and that's it. So for the next 4, I used a name picker wheel, as I referenced earlier, to choose, because I had at least 6 or 7 choices, and I just couldn't decide. I'm terrible at decisions, in case you guys didn't know, so it's like, just pick for me. I would really be okay with reading any of the things that were possibilities, so that is why I left it up to the wheel. The wheel of doom. But actually, it was a very helpful wheel. It was not a doom-filled wheel. It was a nice wheel. So thanks, wheel. So yes, the wheel picked The Summer I Died for me, which I'm very excited about. So by the way, guys, I did not mention this in my recommendation video. I forgot about it, even though I've owned it for over a year. My friend Katrina Brown, just to reference her again, make sure you do check out her channel. It'll be linked below, as will everyone else I mentioned. Everything will be linked below. But she reminded me on my slasher recommendation video that this was a good slasher. Not only is it good, but it's also super extreme. So I mentioned the word extreme when I talked about Anaya Allborn's brother. I would say this is probably 10 times more extreme, and actually extreme. So this is kind of like a splatterpunk type of book, and I heard it's pretty hardcore. And I've been wanting to get to it for a long time. I've heard a lot of things about it. Like, will I be able to handle it type of deal. So we'll see. Alright, so here is the quick summary because I did not talk about this book yet.
When Roger Hemington comes home from college for the summer and is met by his best friend Tooth, he knows they're going to have a good time. A summer full of beer, comic books, movies, laughs, and maybe even girls. The sun is high and the sky is clear as Roger and Tooth set out to shoot beer cans at Bobcat Mountain. Just two friends catching up on lost time. Two friends thinking about their futures. Two friends suddenly thrust into the middle of a nightmare, forced to fight for their lives against a sadistic killer with an arsenal of razor-sharp blades and a hungry dog by his side. If they are to survive, they must decide, are heroes born or are they made? Or is something more powerful happening to them? And more importantly, how do you survive when all roads lead to death?
Now that sounds powerful. I am really eager to get to this. Next up, picked by the picker wheel, is Pillow Face, and I don't have a physical copy of this one because I'm going to read it probably on Kindle. This sounds like so much fun. It is a book that has been described as Richard Lehman-esque, which means, just a warning for you guys, it won't be for everyone. There'll be some triggering things in this book, most probably. Essentially, the premise is we've got this little boy who's obsessed with slasher movies and horror movies, and just all things horror. And he actually finds a real-life masked killer in his backyard who's wounded. He decides to take him in and take care of him. This little kid is so little he doesn't understand the concept of what's going on. However, I think he gets a little bit more than what he bargained for when he decides to take in this killer. So that's going to be, I think, just, I don't know, wild and zany and unique. But again, because of that reference to Richard Lehman in terms of the style of the book, I think that it won't be appropriate for everyone. So if this sounds good to you, I would still look into it if you're like not a fan of Richard Lehman, because Richard Lehman historically over-sexualizes his characters, and like there's all kinds of horny people in his books. His plot lines can be very absurd and over the top and just wild and really unbelievable at times. But in my opinion, I like Richard Lehman, at least the 2 out of the 3 books I've read by him. His style is kind of trashy, but trashy fun, and trashy cozy, if that makes sense. At least it makes sense to me, because that appeals to me. It's just like, you know what it's going to be going into it, but as long as it's entertaining, that's what makes it worth reading. If it's a little bit fast-paced and it's just makes you go, what? And like question what is going on in a fun, good way, then I think it's worth checking out. Another book picked by the picker wheel is Larry, and I'm going to read that one on Kindle for sure because it's actually really difficult to find a physical copy of that one. Larry seems like one of those books, from what I've heard, that takes a look at slasher tropes, but in a humorous way versus in a serious, analytical way. So I am really looking forward to that one. Next up, finally, the last book picked by the name Picker Wheel, Abracadaver. And this will be my 10th slasher book on this TBR list. And I really am intrigued by this one because it's got a magical element in terms of we've got these group of kids and they're at this magician birthday party and there's a murder. The magician gets blamed and he gets sent to jail. However, many years later, more murders start to take place and they've got a magical element to them, like, you know, magician type of element, not like real life magic. So people start to wonder what's going on, who's really at fault for those earlier murders if the murders are still taking place and someone else is locked up. I don't know, it just sounds intriguing and definitely different, and the name is very clever, Abracadaver instead of Abracadabra, so yes, I'm all there for it, so that is why I am so freaking jazzed that it is on my TBR list. And thanks again to the name Picker Wheel, because I would have never been able to decide between the zillions of slasher books that I want to read. So many slasher books, not enough time, but I think it's a good problem to have, because that means we could do future readathons. These next 3 books I'm going to talk about quickly are non-slasher themed, at least for the most part. There's one that you could make an argument about, and my friend told me that you could technically consider it a slasher-ish book, but to me it's more of like a murder mystery classic type of book, but we'll get there when we get there. These books I'm reading for other projects, and for other reasons I have to get to them in the month of June, so I am going to tell you about them now. So the first one is And Then There Were None, and that is the one that I referenced that is a little bit slasher-ish, at least according to my friend Chaney. Check out his channel, Library Macabre. I will link that below. Yes, he told me it's one of his favorite books, and he really loves it. Definitely a lot of murder, and you know, it sounds like it's going to be a good time, and I have actually read it. I just don't remember a thing about it. It was for school, and so that means that once I took the test that was probably given on it, I forgot everything about it, and so I will be excited to almost be experiencing it in a way like it's the first time, because I don't have any recollection of anything about the book. And finally, the last two stories on my TBR are both Stephen King stories, and it's for my Year of King reading project with my friend Kat. I say reading project, but we actually have been watching the adaptations as well, and we discuss all of it in a chat at the end of each month, or the beginning of the very next month. So our June King reads are The Mist and 1408, and we will be watching the accompanying adaptations. So we'll be watching the movie The Mist, Kat will be watching the Mist TV show, which I didn't even know existed until she told me about it. I will probably not get to the TV show, but if she has any tidbits or interesting facts about the TV show, she'll tell us during that chat where we discuss everything. Also, we'll be both watching the 1408 movie. So yes, all of that to come. If you guys want to join in, it's open to everybody because we have a big discussion with spoilers after we read each story and watch the adaptations. Alright, so that's my official TBR. I did want to throw in a maybe, so this will be my 14th book. If I somehow, someway have any time left at the end of the month, which I doubt because I'm also watching 10 slasher movies and 1408 the movie and The Mist the movie, so I don't know if I'm going to get here, but if I can, I'd love to squeeze in Slash by Hunter Shea, and I don't know, I want to get to a Hunter Shea book, and I've already owned his other book, Creature. He has many books, but the other one that I own is Creature. I've had it for quite a while, and I have not gotten to it. So this would be a perfect time to get to a book of his, because here's a slasher-themed book of his that I could technically read. The name Picker Wheel did not pick this one, and so I kind of wanted to read it. I should have put it as a priority, but it's going to be here as a maybe, and if I can't get to it, maybe in a future month I can dig into this. And quickly, guys, let's talk quickly about what I'll be watching for my Summer Slasher Watchathon. So this is the Watchathon segment. You guys don't have to participate in the Watchathon, or if you're not big readers, you don't have to participate in the Readathon. Participate in whichever parts you want to participate in. So quickly, what I'm going to be watching, and I'm going to link my Letterboxd list of these movies down below, so if you want to find out more information like the plot of the film, go to that list, click on the movie, and then you'll be able to read the plot summary. First up, Graduation Day, and this was recommended to me by It Came From The Page. Check out his YouTube channel. He talks about books, but he also talks about movies because he had this big list of recommendations for Vinegar Syndrome's DVD sale, like their halfway to Black Friday sale. So he suggested which DVDs you should look out and buy. So I added Graduation Day because of him. So thank you so much for recommending that, and I'm really excited because he said it was a good slasher. So yes, Graduation Day from 1981. I'm also going to be watching The Burning from 1981, The Prowler from 1981. This is not on purpose that they're all from the 80s, and specifically 1981. I'll be watching Prom Night from 1980, it's absurd that I have not watched it yet. Also, we'll be watching Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 from 1987. That was recommended by Chaney, so it sounds like it's going to be a blast to watch that. I trust his opinion. Next, I'll be watching Maniac from 1980, another classic that it's an atrocity that I have not seen already. Urban Legend, which I guess is a slasher. I've seen it on slasher lists. I hope it actually fits. I don't think I've ever seen it. That's from 1998. Next up, a newer movie, Freaky from 2020. This one sounds like a lot of fun. It's a girl and a serial killer, and they switch bodies, so it's like, think of Freaky Friday, but with a killer involved as one of the people who, switches bodies with someone else. Very interesting plot. I'm really, really intrigued to see how that unfolds. Motel Hell from 1980 seems like just a blast. And finally, Prevenge from 2016, which seems like a little bit of a unique slasher, so we'll see how that turns out. That's my official list, 10 movies long. So, can I get through all these books and movies? I don't know, but I'm excited to try regardless. Okay guys, are you planning to participate in my readathon or watchathon? I really hope so. Remember, if you make a TBR video or a watchlist video, please tag me in the video description. All you have to do is write the little @ symbol, and start typing out slime and slashers. It should pop right up, and that will actually alert me that somebody has mentioned me in a video description. And I usually have alerts on for people's accounts, but just in case I miss it, because sometimes that just inevitably happens. So if that does occur where I miss the video, tagging me in the description will ensure that I definitely see it, because sometimes I don't tag people because I don't want them to be bothered and feel like they have to watch. Other times I just want people to be able to easily click on their name and be able to watch the video. However, please tag me because I want to watch the video. I want to watch anybody's TBR lists or watch lists for this readathon and watchathon, because honestly I really am very intrigued by what everyone wants to watch and read for this whole event. So guys, once again, thank you so very much for taking the time to watch my videos. I say that every video, and I truly, sincerely mean it, because I know my videos are long, and the fact that you take the time to check them out, that just means the world to me. It really honestly does. Alright guys, for this time though, that's it for me. Till next time, you know what you can do. Keep on killing it, which is super appropriate of a tagline for Slasher Month. Bye guys!